can see that we are talking about our fluidized bed combustion in our last class, and we talked about polarization and our fluidized base combustion, and we also talked about the various draught system, and we also talked about the electrical equipments. Now, while we're talking about the electrical equipments, so let us just get back here that we were talking about this uh, cooling. So as you can see that what we have written here, that smaller alternators were means air cooled. Okay, as you can see from the slide that it is written that what about the cooling of the systems. Now in this regard you may I thought you all will be asking me, but somehow you have not asked that why sir hydrogen is used as the cooling medium. Okay, so please remember that the hydrogen has means using hydrogen as a coolant has numerous advantages over air. Okay, so why? Because the ability of this gas to absorb heat is proportional to its heating capacity. Now please remember that the heat capacity of hydrogen and air are the same, so a given volume of hydrogen and air can absorb the same amount of heat under same temperature and pressure conditions. Okay, and what are the advantages of using hydrogen? Basically that it has a very number one, we can say the advantage is that uh, uh, low density of hydrogen reduces windage loss to around 7 to 8% of that due to air, and it also reduces the noise. Okay, that is the number one advantage. Second advantage is that the hydrogen has a thermal conductivity at around 7 times as great as air. Okay, and due to this high thermal conductivity, what is happening is that the hydrogen is able to carry away heat across small spaces in the insulation and between laminations more readily than air. Okay. Third, what we can say that on account of total absence of dirt, moisture, and oxygen, life of the insulation is basically increased, and the maintenance expenses are decreased. And one of the most important point is that hydrogen does not support combustion. Okay, hydrogen does not support combustion, hence less damage would result in the case of any internal short circuit. Okay, that's why we prefer hydrogen cooling over other coolings, means specifically over air cooling. Understood. And we also talked about in our last class, I think we also talked about the exciters, voltage secure transformer reactors, circuit breaker switchyards. I think up to here we have completed in the last class. Okay, there is monitoring alarm system and battery supply, emergency lighting and communication. Okay, so then now let's talk about the next portion of the slide. Oh, somebody is trying to enter. Okay, now let's talk about the next portion of the slide. So next in lies is the effect of variable load on generator. So as you can see that the generator must be able to take up the varying load without any appreciable change in voltage and frequency. Now because of this, what will be needing? Will be needing a governor system. Okay, so it is written prompt governing is necessary to regulate the power generation according to the demand. So the governor must be able to the may the governor must be able to admit more fuel in the case of thermal power plants and more water in case of hydroelectric power plants in order to bring the speed back to normal and pick up the increased load. Now, please, we will be talking about more about details about this governor operation in our hydroelectric power plant. Okay, let us leave it for that class. Second, what we have this automatic combustion control in our power system. Means in a steam power plant. Okay, automatic combustion control system. So automatic regulation of steam generation is required with change in generator load. So the few things that we have to note, as you can see, that the automatic combustion control system automatically changes steam demand as well as other parameters to maintain a constant steam pressure and proper combustion conditions. Okay, so please remember, we have repeatedly said this one, that we need a constant steam pressure inside the steam power plant, and that is being made through this automatic combustion control system. Okay. Okay, Yes. Now, what we can do again, as you can see, that this ACCS, that is the automatic combustion control system, has to maintain constant steam pressure under all load conditions. Means it may be under all load conditions means whenever there is a change in the load, the ACCS should be able to maintain that load condition. Means should be able to maintain the constant steam pressure throughout the steam power plant. Okay, and obviously it being an automatic system, it should be free from any manual intervention, and steam pressure based control devices are most popular for this automatic combustion control systems. Now when we're talking about, let us get back to this variable load on generator. Okay, so what is the problem with variable load in thermal power plant? The problem is that, as you can see, I think it should be in the next slide. Okay, yes. So the problem with the variable load in thermal power plant is that with an increase in load on a thermal power plant, what will the governor do? The governor will be admitting more steam to maintain the turbine speed. Now it becomes very difficult to get quick and good combustion as well as steady steam pressure even with increased fuel supply and rapid governor response, because we know that efficient combustion requires the coordination of many services. So what we can say that there is no time lag for the generator to meet the variable electric load, but there is a certain time lag up is present in realizing the combustion, then there would be heat transfer, and then there would be steam generation. Okay, so the design and operation of the thermal power plant for meeting variable load is more difficult than the hydroelectric and diesel power plants, and that's why the thermal power plants are mostly allowed to operate as a base load plant. Okay, we later on when we're talking about this combined operation of power plants, we'll be talking about our base load, peak load power plants. Base load means that portion of the load will be always be supplied. Okay, means there is the average load of a particular day which will be always be supplied, and the peak load or the peak demand is basically for the time when means there is increased amount of load in the system. Suppose the person's coming means when we're talking about the load curve, I think you all know what is load curve is. What is load curve is? Hello.
The curve drawn between load and time.
Yes, that is our load curve. Okay. Let me here, the pointer will be coming. I think here the pointer will not be coming. Okay, let me just wait a minute. Okay, let me change the slideshow to speaker. I think now this time the load curve should be coming. Okay, so what is load curve actually? So load curve we'll be seeing later again when we're talking about combined operation. So it is nothing but it is load, as you said, by versus the time t. Okay, so it will be looking something like this. Okay, something like this. Why? Because this is the time period that is around the evening period from 6 in the evening. Okay, 6 p.m. to around 9 p.m. in the evening, there is a peak load in the system, and this is the average load. Means this is the base load that we are talking about. Means it will be present always in the system. Okay, so this is the base load, and this portion is our peak load of the system, and this peak load is basically supplied by our hydroelectric power plants or our pumped storage power plants. Okay, and this base load is supplied by our steam power plants, all our thermal power plants. Okay, now the reason is why, means the question is why. The question is, as you can see, it is written here, because to change the means to get proper efficiency, okay, and to get proper combustion in a steam power plant requires, as you can see, it is said that it requires the coordination of many services. Okay, that's why there is a certain time lag in realizing the combustion and heat transfer and then the steam generation, and that's why the design and the operation of the thermal power plant for meeting the variable load is more difficult for a thermal power plant. Okay, so a thermal power plant cannot react very fast to change in this load condition, whereas the same can be done by any diesel power plant, by any hydroelectric power plant, or any pump storage power plants. Understood what I'm trying to say? And that's why the thermal power plant are mostly operated as a base load plant. Okay, I hope you have understood. Any questions? Any questions?
No question, sir.
Okay, so let us get back to the next slide where we have our steps of cold starting. Okay, steps of cold starting of turbine, that is when the shaft is at rest. Okay, so let's okay, so here is the steps of cold starting of turbine. So here what we are seeing that the shaft was at rest. So as you can see, there are actually 18 steps by which we can actually cold starting of turbine. Cold starting of turbine means means the whole operation is uh, was shut down. Now the turbine will be starting from rest. Okay, so let us see what we are doing. So first of all, what we'll doing, will be providing the cooling water pump is put into service. Then the lubricating oil system is put on. After that, the lubricating oil purifier is started. Then the jacking oil pump is started. Then turbine shaft is put on the turning gear. We then will be starting the auxiliary pump, oil pump for power oil. We are checking the emergency stop valve in fully closed position. Seventh, we'll be checking the governor regular hand wheel at the lowest position. We'll be setting the emergency trip plunger. We'll check the governor valve if it is open or not. Then we'll be checking the operation of the trip gear. Next, we'll be talking about the reset. We'll be resetting the trip plunger and the governor valve. Then we'll be charging up the main steam line and we'll be raising the vacuum. And after that, we'll be checking the steam temperature and pressure. And they has to be within the recommended range. Then we'll be slowly opening the emergency stop valve. Then the generator circuit, exciter circuit will be switched on. We'll be checking the terminal voltage. Okay. So if the voltage and frequency are approximately at the rated value, we'll switch on the synchronous scope and synchronize. And we'll be adjust the governor to regulate the steam flow. And we'll be start loading the generator in recommended rates. So this is the typical steps of cold starting of turbine. Now here we have learned a new term which is known as our synchroscope. What is synchroscope? Synchroscope is nothing but very clock which is run in the power station at synchronous frequency. Okay, so what is happening that the synchroscope will be giving means it should be showing the frequency at synchronous speed. So how we can understand that the system means the power generator or the alternator is operating at the rated frequency by looking at the synchroscope. If the alternator is below or above the synchronous frequency, then we have to synchronize by looking at this synchroscope. Okay, so I think whatever I am saying, it would have been very clear if you have actually visited a power station, but I don't think that in this COVID situation it will be feasible. Okay, because every time you all go for your training and so on, so if you get a chance of training in any power station, it whatever I have said, whatever till now you have studied, all things will be very uh, easy for you to understand and actually to see the whole thing, okay, in person.
স্যার স্লাইড গুলো দেখা যাচ্ছে না আপনি যেগুলো পড়াচ্ছেন।
স্লাইড দেখা যাচ্ছে না?
না স্যার, আগে স্লাইডটা রয়েছে।
দেখা দেখা যাচ্ছিল স্যার।
আগে
আই থিঙ্ক ইউ অল আর যারা মোবাইলে দেখছে তাদের এই সমস্যাটা হচ্ছে, কিছুদিন ধরে ক্রোমে এটা সমস্যাটা হচ্ছে। নাও ইট ইজ ওকে আই থিঙ্ক।
ইয়েস স্যার।
Now it is okay, correct?
Yes, sir.
এইটা সমস্যা হচ্ছে যারা মোবাইলে দেখছে তাদের এই সমস্যাটা হচ্ছে। ওকে, so as you can see, so these are the steps of cold starting. Okay, now let us talk about the methods of shutting down a turbo generator. Shutting down a turbo generator when we are means যখন টার্বো জেনারেটরকে আমাকে স্টপ করতে হবে সেই সময় কি কি স্কিম বা আমরা মেথড ফলো করব সেগুলো দেখি। So as you can see, the steps of shutting down of a turbo generator. Number 1 will be unloading the set at the recommended rate. Okay, so আনলোডিং দ্য সেট এট দ্য রেকমেন্ডেড রেট মানে আমরা যদি রেকমেন্ডেড রেটের চেয়ে বাইরে যদি আনলোড করতে শুরু করি তাহলে টার্বো জেনারেটর কিন্তু স্পিড আপ করে যেতে পারে, বিকজ ওর লোডটা তো সরে গেছে। স্টিম জেনারেশন তো তখনও কনস্ট্যান্ট আছে, তখন তোমার যদি লোড সরিয়ে দাও, স্টিম জেনারেশন যদি বেশি থাকে, বা স্টিম জেনারেশন মানে কি মেকানিক্যাল পাওয়ার ইনপুট টু দ্য অল্টারনেটর, if the mechanical power input to the generator is more and the loading means the electrical power output of the generator is less, what will happen? What will happen? That the speed of the generator will increase. Okay, so to avoid that, we will be starting to unload the generator at the recommended rate. Okay, second, when the load falls to 20% of rated value, we'll be ensuring that the condensate recirculating valve opens to provide the adequate cooling water. Third, we'll be checking the steam drain valve open when blade steam temperature reaches 107 degrees centigrade. Fourth, we'll be checking the lubricating oil temperature controller. Check that the lubricating oil temperature controller opens up cooling water supply to lower the oil temperature. Next, we'll be shutting off the steam supply to the air rejectors after closing the air suction valves. When the speed of the unit actually, as you can see, falls to 400 rpm, we'll be starting the jacking oil pump. Seventh, when the turbine shafts have stopped turning, we'll be checking that the meshing motor and the turning gear motor start automatically. Next, we'll be checking when the turbine shafts are on turning gear, and we'll be shutting the gland steam supply. Ninth, we'll be shutting down the auxiliary oil pump. Okay, and 10th, shut down the steam supply to the auxiliary steam system. And last will be circulating water should be kept on the auxiliaries for at best 1 hour after the machine has been shut down, so that the overall system cools down. Okay, this is the procedure of shutting down a turbo. As you can see here, so this is the recommended starting procedure of a turbo alternator. So as you can see, types of cold, warm, hot, and after trip. This is means estimated period of shutdown in hours. And as you can see that how we can actually start this turbo alternator under the four conditions. Okay, this slide that I'm showing you here is just for information purpose. You need not remember them. Obviously, I would request you to all remember this one, but again, this slide is only for information purpose, not for the purpose of your semester examinations. Okay, this is just for your information purpose to get you accustomed with the starting procedure of a typical turbo alternator. Okay, so with this we have let us stop presenting, and we'll be starting with the next slide, or next slide. Yes, so we have finished our slide 5. Now let us start with lecture number 6, where we'll talking about the air fuel ratio of a typical steam power plant. Okay, so now what we'll be talking about in this particular slide number 6, or not slide number 6, means the lecture number 6, we're talking about the how much air is required to for complete combustion of the fuel, how it is calculated, and we'll be doing few problem sums on it. Okay, so first of all, let us talk about our calorific value of fuel. So what is calorific value of fuel? It is the amount of heat in, say, heat unit that will be given out due to complete combustion of 1 kg of solid or liquid fuel or 1 cubic meter of gaseous fuel at normal temperature and pressure. Okay, that is, I think you know this one, that is calorific value of fuel. So the estimation of calorific value is done, as you can see, can be measured experimentally by calorimeter, or can be computed by knowing the chemical composition of the fuel and calorific value of each of its constituents. Let us talk about what do you mean by latent heat of steam. As we know that the hydrogen present in the fuel combines with oxygen during combustion process and produces steam that requires latent heat. Okay, so there are different types of calorific value of a fuel. Number one is our higher calorific value, which indicates the latent heat of steam formed, and second is our lower calorific value that
স্যার
yes,
স্যার আপনার ফার্স্ট স্লাইডটা দেখা যাচ্ছে, সেকেন্ড স্লাইডটা এখনো আসেনি সামনে।
এখনো আসেনি,
না মানে ফার্স্ট স্লাইডটাই দেখা যাচ্ছে।
এবার
এবার হ্যাঁ এবার এসেছে স্যার।
আবার এই সমস্যাটা শুরু করেছে, এটা তো হওয়ার কথা ছিল না। যাই হোক, ওকে, as you can see, so next what we have, so next means different types of calorific value of fuel. Said there are two types. Okay, আচ্ছা সায়ক একটু নিজেকে আনমিউট করো প্লিজ, আনমিউট yourselves. ওকে,
ইয়েস স্যার।
আনমিউট করো নিজেকে, মানে এটা মানে ইন্টারফারেন্স আসছে। ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ। সো where were we? We're talking about our this one, no? So we are talking about different types of calorific value of fuel. So there are two types. Higher calorific value includes the latent heat of steam formed, and lower calorific value which excludes the latent heat of steam formed. Okay, next what we have next is we will be talking about the air which is required for complete combustion of fuel. Okay, so this is, as you can see, this is the air required for complete combustion of fuel. So how to calculate the air required for complete combustion of 1 kg of fuel? So as you can see, the method is given here. So number one is find out, just remember this one because in the last because in the next few slides, after few slides only, we'll be doing few problems. Okay, so steps to calculate air required for complete combustion of 1 kg of fuel. Number one, we'll be finding out the amount of combustible constituent of the fuel or chemical composition of the fuel. Number two, we'll be calculating the total quantity of oxygen required for complete combustion and each combustible constituent present in 1 kg of fuel. Now in this calculation, subtract the amount of oxygen present in the fuel as a constituent if any, means যদি আমার অক্সিজেন থাকে তো সেটাকে সাবট্রাক্ট করে দিতে হবে আমার টোটাল কোয়ান্টিটি অফ অক্সিজেন রিকোয়ার্ড এর যে ইকুয়েশনটা পাবো তার থেকে। ওকে, থার্ড কি বলছে, the percentage of oxygen present in air is approximately 23% by weight and 21% by volume. Hence, calculate amount of air required for complete combustion of 1 kg of fuel. So the quantity of air calculated by the above mentioned method is the chemically correct quantity of air for complete combustion of 1 kg of fuel. Okay, so let us see that how we actually doing it. Okay, so as you can see here, we have saying, let's say CHSOMA are the mass fraction of carbon, hydrogen, sulfur, oxygen, moisture, and ash in a particular specimen of coal obtained by ultimate chemical analysis. So as you can see, we have written C plus O2 equal to CO2, or what we can say, that is 12 kg plus 32 kg of oxygen gives us 44 kg. Okay, or what we can say, as you can see from the equation above, we can say that is just look at this one. Okay, C kg plus 2.67 C plus equal to 3.67 C, means it is in terms of carbon quantity. Okay, is in terms of carbon. Similarly, here it is in terms of hydrogen. Here it is in terms of our sulfur. So the oxygen required for complete combustion of 1 kg of coal would be equal to 2.67 C plus 8H plus S minus O, because here we are saying calculate the total quantity of oxygen required for complete combustion of each combustible constituent present in 1 kg of fuel, and in this calculation subtract the amount of oxygen present in the fuel as a constituent. Okay, so as you can see what we have here, so for incomplete combustion we can say that this is the amount of carbon that would be present. Okay, so incomplete combustion, the constituent uh, is our carbon monoxide, as you can see. Okay, so in the next slide, so the oxygen required, what is the equation then? So oxygen required for complete combustion of 1 kg of coal, it is 2.67 C plus 8H plus S minus O, where C represents the mass fraction of carbon, H is our hydrogen, S is for sulfur, and O for oxygen. So the percentage of oxygen present in air is approximately 23% by air, means by weight. So the air required for complete combustion of 1 kg of coal is written as WR. Okay, WR is the symbol for air required for complete combustion of 1 kg of coal. And if you have seen in the previous slide, it was WO, that is the weight of oxygen required for complete combustion of 1 kg of coal. This is WO, and for air it is WR. And since the percentage of oxygen present in air is approximately 23% by weight, so as you can see, the equation for the air required for complete combustion of 1 kg of coal, WR, equal to the above expression that we have got for means the weight of oxygen divided by the percentage. Okay, so this is the, so the equation comes out to be, as you can see, 2.67 C plus 8H plus S minus O by 0.23. So as you can see, we have example 1. So in example what we have, so composition of a sample coal was found to be 87% carbon, 5% hydrogen, 3% oxygen, 0.9% nitrogen, 0.9% sulfur, and 3.2% ash by weight. Calculate minimum weight of air required for complete combustion of 1 kg of this coal. So the minimum weight of air required, how it is calculated, as you can see. So air required for complete combustion of carbon is equal to 2.67 C by 0.23. It comes out to be around 10.1 kg. Air required for complete combustion of hydrogen, as you can see, 8H by 0.23, which comes out to be around 1.74 kg. And air required for complete combustion of sulfur comes out to be around 0.04 kg. So for the minimum weight of air required for complete combustion of 1 kg of coal is the summation of all these three. It comes out to be around 11.88 kg. Okay, and please remember this minimum amount of air which supplies the required amount of oxygen for complete combustion of fuel is called the stoichiometric or theoretical air. Okay, so this stoichiometric air fuel ratio is the ratio of chemically correct quantity of air to the weight of fuel. Okay, but we know that excess air is required for complete combustion of fuel. Why? Number one, to ensure complete combustion of the fuel, to increase the amount of oxygen for to the combustion chamber, and to enhance the speed of combustion process, because of which we have a coefficient which is known as our excess air coefficient, which is also known as our dilution coefficient. So which is the ratio of, as you can see, actual amount of air introduced in furnace by the theoretical amount of air required. Okay, and this value will always be greater than 1, and it depends upon the kind of fuel fired, কি ধরনের fuel আমরা use করছি তার উপর, and the design of the furnace. So how can we calculate the percentage of excess air? As you can see, this W Hello? Am I audible?
Hello.
Yes, there has been a power cut in my area. That's why the connection was lost. Okay. This is the perks of using the class in online method. Nothing can be done. Okay, so recording is there. The presentation is not showing, no? Can you see the presentation?
No, sir.
Okay, let me again get to again. This is the problem, no? Okay, I have to again. I hope it is visible now. I hope it is visible now.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So we're talking about the how to calculate. We were talking about the percentage excess here, no? So as you can see, how we can find out the percentage excess here? It is WA minus WR by WR into 100%. Okay. So again, the percentage excess here is the amount of air above the stoichiometric requirement for complete combustion. So let us now do some problem sums. I would request you to take out your calculators. Okay, so let us do the problem sums now. So number 2, question example 2, what is written? I will be doing the problem here only. Okay, so I would request you to all to just let me change this one actually. I hope it is the slide is visible. I hope the slide is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please see the question what is written. Okay, so what we have, the percentage composition by mass of a sample of coal is C equal to 90 percent, H2 that is hydrogen is 3.5, oxygen is 3, nitrogen is 1, sulfur is 0.5, the remaining being ash. Okay, now estimate. Number 1, the minimum mass of air required for complete combustion of 1 kg of this fuel. Number 2, actual weight of air fed to the furnace. Okay, and the composition of dry products of combustion by weight if 50% excess air is supplied. Okay, let us calculate this problem. So let us find out the solution of this one. Okay, so for complete combustion of 1 kg of fuel, what is the minimum amount of air required? So the minimum amount of air required, what was the equation? We have just studied, no? What was the equation? Required is how much? WR equal to something, no? So WR is equal to 2.67 C plus 8H plus S minus O by 0.23. Correct? Now just put the fractions of carbon, hydrogen and sulfur in this expression and tell me. So it is and tell me what is the answer. So this is the answer for, this would be the answer for the number 1 question. Just tell me what is the answer coming. So it would be 2.67 into 0.9, correct? This is 90%, no? Percentage composition of mass of sample of coal. So for C it is 0.9, H would be 0.35, right? Okay, and sulfur it is how much? Sulfur boleche 0.05. So it would be tell me what is the value. Hello. Yes, tell me. Solve it and tell me. Am I audible? Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Then tell me the answer. I do not have the answer with me. Hello. So if you solve it, how much it is coming?
Sir, 11.55.
11.55. Okay, this is at this is the amount of kg. Okay, so this is the number one answer we have completed. Okay. So what is the actual air supplied then? Actual air supplied would be this much into how much into our as you can see, actual weight of air fed to the furnace. And what we have to find out? And we have to find out the composition of dry products of combustion by weight. Okay, we have to find out the composition of dry products of combustion by weight. So actual percentage of air supplied would be 11.55 into 1.5. Okay, so why 1.5? Because we are talking about the why 1.5? Because we are talking about here in the number first question, it was the minimum value. Okay, minimum amount of air required. Okay, so the actual air supplied will be multiplied by what is the percentage of the other things also. Okay, and that's why we are multiplying it by how much? By 1.5. And if we do that, it should be coming around, let me do the calculation, it should be coming around
17.325.
okay, 17 point, okay, let me take a 325, no, let me 33. Okay, so around this amount of kg. So this is our second one. Third, what we have, composition of dry products of combustion by weight if 50% excess air is supplied. Okay, so you have to find the weight of dry combustion products. So total mass of dry combustion products. So we have to find out the total mass of air also, this nitrogen also, no? So total mass of nitrogen in dry product of combustion. Okay. So what is the percentage of nitrogen present in air? Nitrogen present in air supplied plus nitrogen present in fuel. We have to find that one first. So let me write another slide. Okay. So nitrogen present, what is the percentage of nitrogen present? So 17.34 is actual air supplied. So air 77% hobe nitrogen, তাই তো? 23% oxygen হয়, বাকিটা nitrogen হয় air এর, তাই তো? So 17.34 into 0.77 plus আমাদের এখানে দেওয়া আছে 0.01. Okay. If that is the case, so the total comes out to be how much? Find this one out first. Total comes out to be
So 13.3618.
Okay, 13.36 এত কেজি। Okay, let this be our answer number 3. তারপর একটা পেলাম, আমাকে কোশ্চেনটা কি বলেছে, composition of dry products of combustion by weight if 50% excess air is supplied. Okay, so 50% excess air is supplied. তার জন্য আমাকে এবার কি করতে হচ্ছে, তাহলে টোটাল মাস অফ অক্সিজেন তাহলে বার করি, নাইট্রোজেনটা বার করলাম। সো টোটাল মাস অফ অক্সিজেন in dry products or product of, there's this one, in dry product of combustion is equal to the weight of oxygen in excess air supplied, তাই তো? So excess air supplied আমরা ইকুয়েশনটা বার করেছি, so it is comes out to be 17.33 kg, correct? Actual air supplied 11.55 into 1.5 করে 17.33 kg, তাই তো? তাহলে excess, তাহলে total mass of oxygen in dry product of combustion equal to the weight of oxygen in excess air supplied. So this should be equal to 17.33 minus আমাদের air supplied কত ছিল 11.55, তাই তো? So it should be 11.55 this into 0.23. Okay, so what is the amount?
1.33.
1.33. Okay, so I hope you are getting the how we are calculating the things. Okay, so what is the total weight of carbon dioxide then? What was the equation? It is actually what is our equation? 2.67C, no? 2.67C or 3.67C? If you recollect, what was our equation? Carbon dioxide যদি বার করতে হয়, just get back to the equation, just see here. So it was 3.67C, no? See here, carbon dioxide. Okay, 3.67C. So what we're doing now? So here will be total weight of carbon dioxide. How we are calculating then? 3.67C. How much it comes out? C কত দেওয়া আছে এখানে? 90%, মানে 0.9 into 3.67, correct? Okay, so it is 3.67 into 0.9. How much it's coming? This is also answer number 3. How much is coming?
3.30.
3.30. Okay, and what about the total weight of sulfur? So total weight of sulfur, or is sulfur oxide actually. Okay, SO2 is equal to, as you can see here, it is written how much? 0.5. Okay, it is a percentage কি হবে? Percentage it comes out to be around, okay, percentage it comes out to be around how much? দেখো 2s. Okay, it comes out to be 2s, মানে it comes out to be in terms of percentage 2 into 0.05, correct? 2 into 0.05, so it comes out to be how much? 0.1, তাই তো? 0.5 বলেছে, ও সরি 0.5 মানে 0.005, 0.001 হবে, কারণ আমার এখানে বলা আছে 0.5, এটা 0.5%, মানে মানে in terms of decimal values 0.005, no? Okay, so percentage of sulfur এত, all the others for, I hope it is clear. Okay, consult any book where this type of problems will be given. In any thermal power plant book, you will be finding this type of problems. Okay. Next, what we have our efficiency of a steam power station. So how we can find out the efficiency? It's overall efficiency. We have talked about this in our efficiency portion also. So it is generator efficiency into our thermal efficiency. And what is thermal efficiency? The thermal efficiency is the furnace efficiency, boiler efficiency, turbine efficiency, and so on. Okay, each of the equipments where thermal exchange is taking place. So heat produced per hour is nothing but the coal consumption per hour by the heating value of coal, and the unit of power generated per hour is the heat produced per hour into the overall efficiency. So the heat equivalent of 1 kilowatt hour is equal to, as you can see, 1 kilowatt hour equal to how much? As you can see, 1000 into 3600 watt per second. There is also 1000 into 3600 joules. This is equal to 1000 into 360 by 4.2, since 1 kilocalorie equal to 4.2 joule, which can be stated as around to be 860 kilocalories. I think you know this one. Okay. So let us talk about the problem sums then. So as you can see, example 3, what we have, a very simple problem, that a 100 megawatt steam station uses coal of calorific value 6400 kilocalorie per kg. Thermal efficiency of the station is 30%. Electrical efficiency is 92%. So the heat equivalent is also given. So we have to find out the coal consumption per hour when the station is delivering is rated full load. So first of all, then we know these equations. So these are the equations. The coal consumption per hour is nothing but heat produced per hour. So it can be divided by the heating value of the coal, and then we're getting the coal consumption per hour. So first of all, then we have to find out the heat produced per hour. Okay. So how can we find out the heat produced per hour? Because of that, we need the overall efficiency. Okay. So the problem. So first of all, we have to find out the solution. Okay. So we are finding out the overall efficiency. What is the overall efficiency? C of the station is equal to the thermal efficiency into the electrical efficiency. So how much is coming out? Thermal efficiency into the electrical efficiency, it comes out to be
27.6%.
okay. So it is correct. Okay. So then what is the heat produced per hour? Okay, heat produced per hour. দেখো কি হচ্ছে 100 megawatt. Okay, 100 megawatt. So 100 into 10 to the power 3 করলে কি হবে? 100 into 10 to the power 3 চেঞ্জ হবে কিলোওয়াট। কি বলছে কিলোওয়াট 1 kilowatt hour কত? 60 কিলো ক্যালোরি। So 860. So overall efficiency কত? 0.26. Now tell me the complete kilocalorie করবে। কত আসছে? Hello.
The
How much it is
311
coming?
311.6 into 10 to the power 6.
The past 6. Okay. See, I do not have the solutions. Okay. আমি just problemটা solve করছি এখানে। I don't have the solutions. So whatever calculations you all are doing, just tell me. Okay. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. So coal consumption per hour is how much then? It is nothing but the heat produced by the calorific value of coal, correct? So what is it comes out to be then? In kgs or in tons? How much is the answer?
Sir, 48.687 tons.
48.67 or 8, okay, 48.6687
tons.
7 tons. Okay, so this is the answer. I hope everybody has got this. Okay, so let us talk about the next problem. Okay, so here what we have said. So a thermal power station has an efficiency of 20%, and 1 kg of coal is burned for every kilowatt hour generated. Determine the calorific value of coal. I think this is very easy. You all can do it. Just tell me the answer. Just tell me the answer. Yes, just tell me the answer. So very simple, no? So heat. First of all, we have to find out the calorific value of coal. So heat is produced per kg of coal. You have to find that one first. So it has nothing but how much heat output কত বলেছে? So we have to find out nothing but the heat output by the overall efficiency. One kg of coal. So 1 kg of coal mane 1 to 860 by there is the heat output by 0.2. It comes out to be how much? Comes out to be 4300 at the kilocalorie. Correct? So the calorific value is what? So the calorific value of fuel of that is here coal is equal to 4300 kilocalorie per kg. Understood? Okay. Last problem for today, and with this we will finishing our class. So as you can see, it is written a thermal power plant spends rupees 25 lakhs in 1 year as coal consumption. The coal has calorific value of 5000 kilocalorie per kg and costs rupees 500 per ton. If the thermal efficiency is 35% and electrical efficiency is 90%, find the average load on the plant. Okay, we have to find the average load on the plant. So let us do this one also. Let's find the solution. So first of all, we have to find out the overall efficiency. No, overall efficiency of the plant is equal to how much? Thermal plant into our electrical efficiency. So how much it's coming? Overall efficiency of the plant. That's the thermal efficiency.
0.315.
315. Okay. Then what we have to find out? So we have to find out the coal consumption in 1 year. Okay. From that we'll be finding out the heat produced in 1 year, and the from that we'll be finding out the heat output in 1 year. Okay. So coal consumption. Okay, in 1 year. How much is the coal consumption? কত বলছে? 25 lakhs in 1 year as coal consumption, and the cost কত বলছে? 500 per ton, তাই তো? তাহলে 25 into 10 to the power 5 by 500 করলে কত টন হচ্ছে? 5000 টন হচ্ছে তো?
5000.
ঠিক আছে, তো টনসে না করে আমাকে এটাকে কেজিতে নিয়ে গেলে সুবিধা, কারেক্ট? So we're converting it to our kgs. So it is 5 into 10 to the power 6 kg, correct? Okay, আমি একটা নতুন স্লাইড খুলি। So আমরা দেখলাম কত আসলো, it comes out to be 5 into 10 to the power 6 kg coal consumption in 1 year. So এরপর কি করব আমি? Coal consumption in 1 year, so heat produced in 1 year be equal to how much? Coal consumption into calorific value, correct? Coal consumption into calorific value. So কত হলো 5 into 10 to the power 6 calorific value কত? আমি জানি কোলের বলা আছে has a calorific value of 5000 kilocalorie per kg. Okay, 5000 kilocalorie per kg. Okay, so 5 into 10 to the power 6 into 5000 এত kilocalorie. Okay, so this kilocalorie, so it comes out to be 25 into 10 to the power 9 kilocalorie. Okay, so what is the heat output? Heat output in 1 year, then the heat output in 1 year আমার এটার সাথে আমার কত আছে এফিসিয়েন্সি আমাকে গুণ করতে হবে, তো ওভারঅল প্লান্ট এফিসিয়েন্সি, তাহলে করলে হিট আউটপুটটা পেয়ে যাব। সো হিট আউটপুট ইন 1 year is 25 into 10 to the power 9 into আবার 0.315. ওকে, কত কিলো ক্যালোরি আসছে? 25 into 0.315 করলে কত আসছে?
7.88.
7.88 into 10 to the power 9 kilocalorie. Okay, so then what is the energy generated? Energy generated in 1 year. This energy generated in 1 year, it would be equal to 7.88 into 10 to the power 9 by how much? By 860. Why 860 kilocalorie দিয়ে কেন গুণ করছি? Because since 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 860 kilocalorie, correct? So তাহলে টোটাল কত এনার্জি জেনারেটেড হচ্ছে ইন টার্মস অফ কিলোওয়াট আওয়ার বার করো, কত আসছে?
So 9.157 into 10 to the power 6 kilo.
9.157 into 10 to the power 6. Okay,
Kilo.
I hope সবারই আসছে, কিন্তু সবাই কিন্তু করবে এটা। ওকে, সো দিস দ্য এনার্জি জেনারেটেড ইন 1 year। তারপর কি করব আমি? তো অ্যাভারেজ লোড তাহলে কত আসছে? হোয়াট ইজ দ্য অ্যাভারেজ লোড দেন? So average load on power station is equal to how much? কত বললে? 9.157 into 10 to the power 6 হচ্ছে 9.157 into 10 to the power 6 এত কিলোওয়াট আওয়ার, তাই তো? তার মানে 365 into 24 করলে এত কিলোওয়াটে আমি অ্যান্সারটা পাবো। So what's the answer?
1045.
1045 পয়েন্ট সামথিং হবে নিশ্চয়ই, ঠিক আছে? এত কিলোওয়াট। Okay, so this is the answer. Understood how we are finding it? ঠিক আছে? So with this, let me stop recording and stop the presentation. Then I'll be saying something. Let me stop the presentation and I'm stopping the recording also. So with this, we are finished.